set of these, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I got, candlelight, so this is how I live. Abraham Lincoln, he was able to educate himself like this. The first comment, so Kentucky just had the governor's election 2019, and this governor's election does signal the end of Trump's presidency. Of course it does. It's a ruby red state, super red, since Mitch McConnell for the last 30 years, nothing but straight Republican, straight ticket politics, and, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, Matt Bevin, so these are, Republicans, and there is a history of Democrats, but it was the racist Democrats, because the party switched. So the Republicans was the party of Lincoln. The Republicans are the ones that ended slavery, and yet they're the racist of today. So the Democrats were the racists. They were the founders of the KKK. So the Democrats used to be the racist party, but LBJ integrated, with the 1964 Civil Rights Act, integrated America, and then he said he just handed the South to the Republicans for decades, and that's 64, so that's, for the last 60 years, it's been Republicans, right? So, first comment I want to make about Kentucky's gubernatorial election 2019 is the abysmal turnout rate. The turnout rate had 42%. So we had 42% of the people come out, and the headlines are, look at this great turnout rate, because the turnout rate actually increased. 2015 it was 31%. Now it's 42%. So the turnout rate has increased 11%. That means out of 3.45 million registered Kentuckians, I think there's 4 or 5 million Kentuckians, but out of the 3.45 million registered voters, only 1.4 million came out to vote. Only 1.4 million came out to vote. That means 2 million did not vote. 42% means that 58% of the, Kentucky populace, not the electorate, the populace, the people that can vote, didn't vote. And the electorate, out of the people that was registered to vote. So actually, there's a lot of people that's not allowed to be registered to vote, like idiots and felons and treasonous and inmates in jail, insane people, and anybody who bribes an election, like your super PACs and all your, people that donate to campaigns. So those are all bribes, right? How is that not a bribe? So this is not a democracy. This doesn't have democratic legitimacy. In order for an election to be democratically legitimate, you got to have the mandate of the people. So let's just assume Andy Beshear, he takes the lion's share of the 42%, so he gets 22%. Matt Bevin gets 20%. So Andy Beshear is now the governor of the 22%. The 22% chose who they want to run. You need 51%. 51% of the people need to win. So John Hicks should make the argument that the majority, it was a plurality winner. Nobody broke the 50% plus one threshold. So nobody actually got the majority of the people's votes. And then that's out of the 42% that actually vote. So 42% of the people voted in 2019. This is an increase in the turnout rate. That's the headlines. But it's not a true blue democracy. You need to have a redo, Kentucky. You didn't actually have a true blue democracy. So 42% is an abysmal turnout rate. It's good for Kentucky, right? Oh, Kentucky, usually nobody votes. But you know what? 2 out of 5 people voted this time. 3 out of 5 people did not. Now, this is better. So in the primaries, it was, like 19% in the primaries of 2015 and 2019. So that's 1 out of 5. That means 4 out of 5 Kentuckians didn't even vote in the primary, but they did show up for the general election for their top executive, their chief executive position. So yeah, 42%. The only thing I'll say about this in defense of Kentucky, about their abysmal, 42%, that's America. That's American politics. I think only 46% of the people voted for, the 2016 presidential election. So most Americans don't vote whatsoever. They don't care about democracy or dictatorship. They don't give a fuck about nobody or nothing. They're not even voting. They're not going to confront the, public officials. They're not going to call their congressmen. They're not going to look at the bills and the laws and scrutinize and read over and speak out about it. 42%, that's not a democracy. 22%, that's not the majority. That is not a mandate of the people. John Hicks is right. They didn't get a majority. We need an election system that actually says the person that has the majority wins. That's ranked choice voting. So if you actually wanted a fair election, you could go ahead and shit on the libertarians, but what the fuck kind of country do you live in where you say, oh, Green Party libertarians, they don't have a chance? In America, we don't have a chance. If you can dream it, you can do it. Anybody can be president. That's the whole point of America. Anything is possible. And you're going to tell me that the Green Party and Libertarian parties don't have a chance. In some respects, they have a, it's a long shot. They have a long shot chance. But why is that? That's not a fair election system. So if you think John Hicks spoiled the election, then that means you don't have a fair fucking election. So ranked choice voting would end the spoiler effect, and it would guarantee a majority victor. Guarantee a majority victor, no matter what Dennis Flores out of Pueblo, Colorado says. No matter, in spite of, the people's lies. Ranked choice voting guarantees a majority victor. So 42% of Kentuckians voted. Most Kentuckians sat home and said, fuck this government, fuck this democracy. So you have to have a redo. You got to have another election just to get democratic legitimacy, just to get the majority of the people to actually vote on this thing. So, in defense of Kentucky, it's America. A lot of states have low voter turnout rate, but then Colorado has a great turnout rate, but they actually only had 1 million show up for this, sort of off-governor, off-president year. There was only 1 million that voted in Colorado's election, so that's pretty pathetic. Colorado's got 75% turnout rate usually. Written ballots are sent out to the people. They have a month to decide. So, they basically shove voting in the voters' faces. So you really have to fight to not vote in Colorado. And only, 1 million people. There's only 2 propositions on the ballot. It wasn't a governor's race or a president's race. No major issues. Tabor was a major issue. But, yeah, so the turnout rate in Colorado was pretty bad, too. So, I guess that makes Kentucky's shitty democracy okay. Well, other democracies are shitty, too. So, why don't we just state, now, how about once you fix your fucking democracy? Until you fix the elections, until you have free and fair elections, then, what the fuck is the point? What are we doing here?